Alrighty. We are getting started here. We are back on the SANDCAST podcast. We lost Travis due to Mexico. He somehow made his way from 34th in the reserve list all the way into the qualifier because so many teams.
That far down?
Yeah, so many teams dropped out. He's like, I'm going to Mexico. I was like, dude, you're not getting in. He's like, no, I'm in. Like, I made it. And so Travis left. But we upgraded. We got Savvy here today.
Yeah, I was going to ask if that was a loss.
Well, we have our college volleyball insider here. We needed to bring in the big dogs for this one. Yeah. But we're here with Southern Miss beach volleyball head coach Shawn Taylor. Thanks for coming out. Yeah. And Brett Favre's here. I'm gonna. Sorry, that was a bad intro.
I say leading scorer on the Southern Miss volleyball team, Brett Favre. Not.
That's how random it is, though. I'm like, wait, you're gonna bring Brett Favre?
He's our volunteer.
Yeah, you can come.
Assistant coach from the stands.
Let's just address that right off.
May or may not aggravate his daughter.
Just ask my daughter.
No, we appreciate you guys coming, though. Let's just address it right away. Like, how'd you guys get linked up, and what do you guys got going on? I know your program's been going for 3 years now.
This is officially our fourth full year.
Fourth year, okay.
COVID kind of. I don't know how to score that one.
Oh, yeah, that was brutal.
That one, in my opinion, doesn't count.
Right. So yeah.
Really, in our first year, Shawn wasn't the head coach. He was down in Mobile. Our indoor coach coached both.
Okay.
If you want to call it that, was in the position.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
a lot of the indoor coaches.
I mean, they just say, hey, you got to coach both.
It's fun.
Exactly.
We got to add the sport for Title IX, so.
Good
I'll
luck.
pay you an extra $3,000 to coach beach.
Right.
You know, and then they coach it about the way they were hired. So,
yep.
So really, you know, our second year was really our first serious year, in my opinion, where Shawn actually came in and recruited, and started gearing it to, you know, how he wanted to see the program grow, and he's recruited some foreign girls. Yeah, my daughter plays, and that's how Shawn and I met. Prior to college, my daughter played indoor travel, and then I think Ellen or one of her indoor buddies talked her into playing beach travel, and boy, we put some frequent flyer miles.
I'm sure.
But you got to do that.
Yeah.
And Shawn was our he helped with indoor, but he's also our beach travel coach, and here we are.
Wow, I love it.
So the irony is we've probably come within miles of each other multiple times because you spent some time in Kansas off and on and like didn't even know it. So it's one of those weird, like, the circles finally linked up.
Right. And then how did your beach experience come about?
So I grew up in Kansas.
Right. Yeah, that's why I'm asking the question.
Sandy white beaches in Kansas.
As a sand volleyball player, not a beach volleyball player, because we obviously don't have beaches.
Right.
I was fortunate. I was right place, right time, and I was the young teenage punk, and there were a bunch of guys that were coming out over summertime and living the dream, and playing a lot in California, or they played previous summers, and so the level of play was pretty good. And I just showed up and got my butt kicked. There was a bar in town, 2 courts, and you just show up and get your butt kicked every day. And if you don't like getting your butt kicked, you figure out how to get better.
This was in Topeka?
In Topeka, yeah.
I was going to ask, there's so many facilities, like for him, like in Louisiana, there's all these different facilities and places where they don't have beaches, so they make all these rad complexes. So are there places in Kansas besides that place with 2 courts?
It was kind of hit or miss. Like, the stars aligned.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty good talent with a pretty cool facility at a brewery. And I happened to be there, right place, right time. Yeah. And so growing up, I was actually a better, I would say, sand player than beach player. And then had the opportunity to go on and play in college at Graceland, small private school.
Yeah.
And at the time, like, they were taking it to some Division I, Division II programs.
Were there any Hawaiians on your team?
There
I know
were.
a lot of Hawaiians used to get recruited out there, including one of my good
Where's
friends,
Graceland?
Nick Costello. You probably know. He coaches assistant at University of Hawaii.
I
Beach.
don't know him,
Okay.
but Matt Dennison was a guy from the islands.
Dennison, okay, yeah. I remember that
James
name.
Butler was
James
a guy that
Butler.
could fly.
He
and
went to my high
screw-
school.
Yeah, he could screw up a volleyball.
Oh yeah, that's
Like,
crazy.
He was
What a
impressive.
small
Where's
world. Oh my
Graceland in
gosh.
Kansas?
It's in Iowa. It's like 3 miles across the Missouri-Iowa border, like smack dab
Yeah.
in the bottom.
That had to be culture shock from Hawaii to go to Graceland.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not Memphis, but
Yeah, no, that guy went to my high school. I went to a high school. I
Wow.
graduated 20 kids, like on the side of the hill. I never thought I'd hear that guy's name
Yeah.
on the mainland ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had.
What a small
It
world.
was weird though because and you've probably experienced it, like Hawaiians are very passionate. Like they're very passionate. They love their culture. There's a lot of them that also like to get away from the craziness
Right,
and
yeah,
experience a different life. And
Yeah,
so Iowa was a very different life.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
When we had tornadoes, they would run outside, and I'm like, no, man, I grew up in Kansas. Like I've lived this stuff. I'm going to safety.
You're going down.
And like the first snow, they were out there. They couldn't feel their hands, but they were snowball fight. I'm like, I've got.
That's
It
my
was
first
like
experience.
Dumb and Dumber. Like
Yeah.
Yep.
I've
yep.
got extra sets of glove. You know, like
That's how I
here,
would
man.
be. That's how I would be growing up here. That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
That was literally my first experience going up to what was it, Colorado Springs Olympic Training Center, running outside,
From
grabbing
Hawaii?
the snow.
yeah. That,
Oh my God, my hands hurt so bad.
I love it, but it hurts.
Snow, I'm doing it.
so you never went to Mauna Loa?
I never went to the top. No, I know it doesn't snow up there that often, and it's like you gotta like run up and get it at the right time. It's not like that much of a thing that locals do, but yeah, no, I actually never been to the top. You been up there?
No. I've only been to, as we
Oahu.
call, Oahu.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot more beauty to
Oh, for
Hawaii
sure. Yeah.
on the other island.
Yeah, no, I kind of followed you guys around the whole Pro Bowl group. You know, they had all this stuff going on and people following you guys around, and you guys were basically in Waikiki or the resort at Ko'olina, Ihilani.
Yeah.
Maybe they let you go out to the North Shore for a day or so, but
No.
you didn't see the real Hawaii.
No, we just saw the tourist part of it.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And it was packed, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like that all the time.
The touristy parts for
Down
sure,
there.
but Hawaii, I've traveled the entire world at this point. Not the entire world, but
Pretty close.
yeah, a lot of it. And I've never experienced a place like Hawaii still. Like it's very unique. Just the culture, the landscape, the beauty. You gotta go check it out.
The spam and rice.
Yeah, but I mean the team, you guys gotta go get a scrimmage.
Yeah, have
in
you guys
with,
not been out there yet?
University of Hawaii.
Hey,
The team,
baby
no.
steps. We
True.
made it to California.
True.
This was
That's a big step. That's
you know,
a big step.
Exactly.
So
We're
No,
halfway
it's
there.
I
Yeah.
think coming to California is a huge step. I think, I know our program is obviously in the infant stages. We hope that our daughter will be done this year, but we hope the program just continues to rise. And it's beach volleyball, but it can be football, it can be baseball. In order to get better, you have to play better talent.
Yep.
You have to experience different things that you can't just stay in the status quo circle that you're always in.
Right.
You get your butt whipped, you either retreat or you get better.
Yeah.
But you got to expose yourself to. I mean, these programs out here. This is where
This is it.
Yeah, this is it. And
There's even all the teams around the world are actually here right now. Like
Yeah.
I just played against Qatar, who's the #1 team in the world today, and they all came here. Obviously, we're close to Mexico where the event is, but they come to these beaches to train because they know this is the spot.
it's not like you can't get that on the East Coast. This is where it's
This is
from.
it, yeah.
This is where it was born. And
Yeah.
So you kind of go to get some of that magic.
Yeah, and you know what? One unique thing about our sport that a lot of people say, fans love it, players love it, is that the players are very accessible rather than like, we can't show up to your practices and see what you're doing. Whereas like I was telling Shawn this morning, like, hey, we practice at this time, like, or come to any of these courts, there's really good volleyball going on between 28th Street, Hermosa, and the pier.
Yeah.
Every morning between
Every morning.
what 8 and 12.
8 and 12. Yeah.
Like
it's like the
go-
8 to 10
go watch
session and
the
the
gold
10 to 12.
medalists play. The bronze medalists just played against us today. You know, April's down there.
Yeah.
Some of the best college players that we had. So like the girls can go down and just watch like awesome volleyball.
Yeah, and that's for us. Like that's the benefit, obviously, and it's cool because I did a podcast with our student group on campus last week, and took one of our players, and you know, like they're starting to get it when they're starting to echo what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I've been like just preaching from day one is if we want to be the best, we got to go play the best, and we can't be concerned about our record. Like if we get wrapped up in the result, like it's not going to be good for us. But if we want to be great, like we've got to go play great.
Yeah.
And so coming out here, you know, there's some great programs around us. Don't get me wrong, but you know, there's more great programs and a different style.
Right.
And some different officiating and stuff like that. But part of the other part is like, what are we doing in the off season? How are we getting ourselves better? And most of them had never been to California before. And so to expose them to this and say, you know, you don't have to spend your life out here, but if you can come out for 2 or 3 weeks, like harass Savvy, go get a game,
Right.
you know, hey,
Yeah.
do you need someone to train against?
Yeah.
And David Fisher was one of the guys that I thought was great. He's like, I couldn't afford to pay for this, so I was just going to be Misty and Carrie's training buddy. And like whatever coaching they were going to get, I was going to get too, so I
Right.
could apply that to my game.
That's how I picked up my first partner, Hayden. I said, "You need reps. I'm just out here. I'll get reps with you."
Yeah.
And then I was like going all out, and eventually he's like, "I'll give you a shot." I was like, "Oh, what?
Like what?
I didn't even know it was a triout. I was just going all out."
I guess every day's a tryout.
Yeah.
Well,
Even when
apparently, yeah.
Well,
When you're not trying out, you're trying out.
Yeah.
and that's
I guess that makes sense.
yeah, that's one of the things I stress with our players. Like you're interviewing every day,
Yeah.
and like at some point somebody's going to call me and want a reference.
Mm-hmm.
You're interviewing every day, so what do you want me to say when they call, when I pick up
Right.
the phone? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, if you're out there playing, like it's not just getting reps. Like
Totally.
more times than not, people are trying you out.
Yeah.
And that's like what Tri was just saying. Like for me, I can't afford a coach right now. I'm like trying to find I just moved here. It's pricey to live here, but I go and I train against the top teams who have legit coaches, and they're coaching against me. Like we'll compete in practice, and they're not really giving me feedback, but they're giving their team feedback, and it's really cool to like for me and a partner just to go train, and we're like the dummies. Like we just go and train against them, but we're getting better because we're training against the top level. And it's making us have to sit and think like, okay, the coach and that they're strategizing together. How are we going to try and strategize against them without a coach? And because there's a lot of times where you're in a game and you can talk to your coach in the timeout, but not mid game. So it's really good practice. And even if you can't afford a coach, that's the goal. But for me right now, just being out of college, doing that it's really helped my game a bunch.
To put it in your language, she's a tackling dummy.
Well, I was
Yeah.
sitting here thinking I got my start at Southern Miss. I was 7th on the depth chart, and there were 7 quarterbacks. That tells you where I started.
Yeah.
And, of course, I had nowhere to go but up. So they said, hey, 4, you go in and play scout team. Well, I didn't even know what scout team was. And they held up these little cards, and they were like, and I was looking over there. We were going against first string defense. I was a little intimidated, but I was 17 years old at the time, and I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof. And one thing I knew I could do, I could throw it better and harder than anyone. I'd worry about where too later on. I just knew I could outthrow it. And they said, all right, do this. Give them a look. I want you to do this. Well, I'd always do that plus about 30 other things. And zing one down the field. But my point is, much like what you're saying, is it was an opportunity for me to get better, even though it was kind of unscripted.
Yeah.
You're competing against, in my situation, the best. It was the best our defense could or our team could put out there, and I want to say I sized up, and that's kind of you either rise up to the occasion and go, you know what, you beat me once, beat me twice, you're not going to beat me 3 times, or you say, you know what, I'm not cut out for this, and you pack your bags and go elsewhere. You hope they don't put you in at some point, but that's, again, talking about beach volleyball, it's such a great experience when Shawn told us that he was going to do a West Coast swing, and actually in a couple of weeks we go to Tucson. To me, it's two things. It's great for our program. There's such value in seeing where it came from.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah.
But also just the experience, like you said, there's more to it than just playing. Look, I hope we win some this week. I'd be shocked if we did. I'm not knocking our program.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing some good teams this season.
I watched Cal Poly and Loyola Marymount at LSU and Florida State the last couple of weeks. And I don't see LMU getting beat. Their number ones are outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I mean, studs. But that's, again, and my daughter's a 1 seed. Mm-hmm. So I'm pulling for her, but we're going to see how we match up. LSU didn't match up very well against them. And they think their program's pretty good, which it is. But it's a great experience.
Yeah, it's opportunity, right? Like at that point, I mean, you always got to look for opportunities. Even us this week against Qatar, they're number one team in the world. We're like, all right, maybe they'll kick our ass every day, but it's going to be the best training we could possibly ask for going into the next event. And it really doesn't matter like what level you're at. It's like opportunity is what you need. Yeah. Probably the hardest thing is being at the top. That's what I'm thinking, right? Like being the number one team. Staying there, right.
The Misties and Carries of the world, the Phil and Todds, how do you sustain that excellence for that long when the Tiger Woods, pick a sport, you were pretty okay.
I think we got a guy with gas. I know a guy here.
With beach volleyball, I think the biggest difference between the sports that you mentioned, football, golf, and golf is sort of getting into that, that territory where all these young guys are training and are hitting the ball just as far. I mean, you're hearing guys that you never, who is this guy? Where'd he come from?
Yeah.
Beach volleyball, 5-10 years ago, had half the programs collegiately that they have now. So it's probably doubled in size. The exposure is much. I remember watching Kerry and Misty play it was kind of my first exposure to beach volleyball. I'm like, this is kind of cool.
Olympics, was it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We didn't have it at Southern Miss. No one really had it close by. LSU may have had it. Mm-hmm. But who did they play against? They didn't play against anybody around there, so they were playing. So you really wasn't exposed to it. But now you got clubs everywhere. They don't have it in high schools yet. But if you want to be someone, your kids either play in travel or getting left behind, and that's really in all sports except for football.
Yeah.
And beach is kind of falling in line with that. Out here, it goes without saying that that's a way of life. But like Mississippi, it's becoming cool to be on the beach volleyball team or be playing it.
That's crazy.
And we have beaches, but I don't think that they even play on the Gulf Coast beaches.
It's a pretty narrow. You're going to spend more time fishing the ball out of the water, probably, than you are actually playing the game.
On bottles,
right? Yeah.
It's not as pristine here.
Yeah.
I mean, at home as it is here.
Yeah. LA is basically just a desert that hits the ocean. Like if you look at pictures back in the day before all the concrete got built, it's literally just sand dunes.
Why did Bugsy stop in Vegas then? Like why not just?
Oh, I don't know. It's over my head.
Yeah, but LA, I mean, this spot in particular, like I'm from San Diego, and I went to UCLA, I graduated, I moved home, but even then, the level of play down there isn't high enough. You have to be right here. I was commuting a ton, but and it's 2 hours. That's not that bad. But
But you had to do it if you wanted to.
Yeah, I was getting up, and a lot of girls I was playing with wanted to do like the 7:30, 7:45 practice slot. So I was getting up at like 4:30, coming here, getting done by 9:30, 10. I'm home by noon. I have a whole day, but then I'm coming up the next day.
In bed by 6.
Exactly. I'm exhausted, and then there was times where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stay on someone's couch or stay with them, or like stay in my car. Like I have a 4Runner and throw a bed in the car, and that's what you're saying. The couch hopping, like you do what you can, but it got to the point where I was like, I can't keep driving and I can't keep doing this. So I made the move to be here, but it's a big difference. I could get a group of 4 down there to play consistently, but here, I mean, every week I get people asking, "What's your training group like?" I'm like, any girl who's on the tour I'm playing with, because every week it's different. This is like the spot to be, and I think that's why the college teams out here are so good. But like you said, you recruited some foreign girls too.
Yeah,
that's the new big thing too. Like LMU, I think they're ones. I can't remember who's in the ones, but they're foreign, or one of them's foreign.
Yeah.
That's kind of a new thing too.
Yeah, it was
graduate students, I think.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're getting the best of the best, hand picking them.
Yeah.
And I can see where if you're a foreign kid, what little bit you know about America, if you're a beach volleyball player and a good one, and LMU calls, and Southern Miss calls, where are you going? No, I'm not knocking Southern Miss, but we have to pay our dues and get to that point. And we're obviously not there, but he's recruited some really. It's funny because I asked him, "Did any of these girls come on a recruiting visit?" He's got one from Poland, a couple from Czech, one from Cyprus, one from Spain, and we did a video call.
That's right.
Yeah, my son-in-law, in fact, he's married to our oldest daughter, is from Manchester, England, and I'm shifting gears a little bit, but they met in Hattiesburg where we live. He came over on a soccer scholarship. Obviously they all play soccer over there, and he went to a NAIA school in Hattiesburg called William Carey, and I was asking him, I said, how did your parents just say, okay, here you go? Yeah. I said, did you ever come on a recruiting visit? He goes, no. There was a guy coaching in the area that was from England, and he started getting these guys. And I just can't imagine how hard that would be to just send your kid off, or the kid is, I can see where you'd be excited about it, but it's nervous. What am I getting into? Mm-hmm. He got off the plane in New Orleans in August. I don't know what year. And he said, woo. He had a jogging suit on, and he had a beanie. He said, the high in Manchester in the summer is 55. I'm like, we don't see 55 till December.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Depends on the year.
Yeah.
And he said he lost 25 pounds his first month.
Oh my God.
In soccer practice.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Thought he was going to die. But I get back to these girls, and we've had one, I think total of one that went back home.
Yeah.
Which I think says a lot about our program. I could, when Shawn said one left and went back home, I'm like, can you blame her? Or the parents are pulling at her, or whatever. That would be tough. So to recruit those kids, and they're good, they're young, but they're good, is an asset to our program, but it's got to be tough.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool that you're recruiting internationally, though. Like, the
Yeah.
game is growing like crazy. Like, Norway is the #1 team in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Qatar's #1, Norway's #2, but the Olympic
Norway's
gold
known for their
medalists.
beaches.
Well, yeah, I guess.
You just got to shovel.
Apparently.
You got to
They're
shovel through the
fjords.
snow.
Apparently.
They're fjord
white.
beaches.
Well, and we call him Dodgeball Jared. He's sitting off camera. We were talking about some of this stuff, and I think there's a few things that you guys hit on. Like, one, the collegiate game on the women's side is absolutely helping the depth of the field, and it's helping it domestically, but it's also helping it internationally.
Right.
And so, like, you are in situations where you don't get to train against the best every day. So how do you get great? Like, you have to be super technical with your game, and I can't jump higher and hit harder and just be better. Like, I've got to be really, really skilled, and I've got to watch a lot of video. And so when I get those opportunities to play against the best, I'm maximizing those opportunities. But college is kind of a stopgap because not a lot of federations, and it's no knock on USA Volleyball, they just don't have the money, but like, we're not equipped like some of the other sports to fund our teams, And so for a girl from Poland to have the opportunity to come over here, or the Czech Republic, one of them, she stops me as we get ready to practice today. She's like, her cousin's Bara Hermanova. I butcher the pronunciation. Hermanova is how I would say it.
Right.
She's getting ready to play in Mexico right now. She's like, Bara says Team Canada's practicing right up the street right now. Go say hi. I'm like, well, we need to get practicing, and if they're still there, we'll go say hi.
Yeah.
But we start to get kind of those connections, and like I was talking with some friends, if you followed hip hop, like it started in New York, and nobody will deny like New York's presence in the hip hop and rap game. And then it hit the West Coast, and then Atlanta, and then New Orleans, and then St. Louis, and now like Chicago. And I think beach volleyball is not quite there yet, but you're starting to see this turn where, yes, you have to, if you want to be the best and play against the best, like there's a lot right here.
Right.
But with the addition of collegiate volleyball on the women's side, you're starting to see these pockets that are emerging in Texas, and Florida's been good for a while.
Totally.
And Chicago, you know, Rob has been crushing it out in Ohio on the junior side for a long time. So, like, you're going to start seeing, and it's only going to kind of filter up.
Totally. And I'm totally seeing it because I've been around, let's just say 2011. I started playing pro, and back then it was like maybe Florida, like Cali and Florida. Like, hey, I played beach volleyball. I'm from New York. Like, oh, good luck. Like, this shouldn't be a problem. Now it's, you can't take anyone. I mean, Evan's from New Orleans, right? Normally it'd be like, New Orleans, like, you got no chance. Now,
you may out-eat us in crawfish, but that's
right. And it's like, hey, you got to come play out here. It's great out here. I'm like, is it really? And then everyone that goes out there loves it. Like, the bar scene, it's just a different culture, but it's strong. Like, the fans are great. We went to Austin, and we packed this whole outdoor bar thing and threw our own 4-man event, and the fans were just, like, super into it. It's pretty wild. And even the podcast. A lot of people, I go all over the country, even the world now, and people are, like, not talking to me about volleyball. They're like, oh, the podcast.
SANDCAST.
I'm like, dang, like, you guys actually listen to it out here?
Yeah, you know, along those same lines, one thing I can brag about with our program, we have, what I've seen, we have the second best facilities, maybe in the country. LSU's got an unbelievable, now they inherited their tennis, it was, you know, LSU, SEC money is in a class by itself.
Right.
So they're, you know, whatever they need, they get, but they inherited their tennis facility, and it's a grandstand, it's fabulous. Ours is, the only thing I would say our court doesn't have, or facility, we have less courts. But as far as the niceness and the amenities, we share facilities with the indoor facility. Is, in my opinion, it may not seat as many as some in the country, but it's the best in the country.
Wow.
Now our program's got a long ways to go, but usually it's like your program is built slowly but surely, and then the facilities will come.
That's like how ours was.
Yeah.
That's across the board for anyone, but we're different. We have the facilities, and they're outstanding. You go in our indoor facility, which our beach has their own locker room. They have a hot and cold tub. They have a weight room. They have a training room. They don't have to go in to any other athletic facilities because they have their own.
Yeah.
And it's spectacular. It really is. So doesn't really help with the foreign kids because he's getting them signed without even coming to visit.
Right.
Usually it's like, they do the video tour. This place is awesome.
They're like, come
I got to come here.
off. Yeah, that's true.
But that'll
So-
definitely help with the recruiting
will.
side of it.
It will.
'Cause that's
'Cause
super
you know,
important.
I don't care who the coach is. If you say you got a chance to go to LSU, LMU, whoever, and Southern Miss, choose us. Okay.
Why?
Yeah. But the facilities will certainly. All you need is it's like we always say in football. You just need one or two players,
Right.
the one difference makers, and then it kind of falls in line.
Yeah.
But facilities, I know, like in football recruiting, kids, it's important what the helmets look like, what color uniforms they wear, what kind of shoes y'all wear,
Right.
or do you have an indoor facility?
Yeah.
Not can I get on the field and play right away.
Yeah.
So it's the things that we think of as like, why is that important? But I know if a family brought their kids in, Shawn shows them around, they got to be just blown away by the facilities. I mean, sending your kid there, you would feel comfortable.
No, we're fortunate, and Brett and his wife Deanna have played a big role in helping us get those facilities. But I know a lot of people have to drive off campus to go train.
Yeah.
Ours is right on campus, and our locker room is literally right across the street, like across the parking lot, and we get hop out there. Going back to the international kids, I've got a Spanish girl, and we've had to train in the morning, and normally it's like it doesn't get cold, but this winter has been
we had about a 3-week stretch where the lows was in the 30s, maybe even 20s.
So we're starting practice at 8 a.m. at 32 degrees.
Yeah. No, that's going to be a problem for me.
Yeah.
That's a no for me.
That's not going to work.
This guy's getting body slammed at Lambeau his whole career.
I love it.
You guys are scared of a little volleyball?
Well, I'll say this. We got to wear shoes and socks when we played at Lambeau. Now, we got hit, but like my daughter, one day she texts me. She's like, Dad, and usually she's pretty tough. She's like, Dad, it's Antarctica out here. I'm like, suck it up. She's like, I can't suck it up anymore. I said, well, wear socks. She's like, Dad, you're not getting it's 24 degrees.
Oh, my God.
That's the only time I ever wear sand socks. That's the only time I ever wear sand socks. Not when it's hot, but when it's cold.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
I mean, even here when it gets in the more for 8 a.m. practice, it was like in the 40s-ish. By the time he starts, probably low 50s. But your feet are freezing.
Yeah.
And when your feet are numb, you can't. You like can't
No,
move around.
I know me. If my hands and my feet get cold, when they start hurting, count me out.
Yeah.
I'm useless.
Yeah. So our Spanish girl, like, I try to be really honest. I don't want players that show up and I've fed them a bunch of lies and now they're unhappy.
Right.
And she comes from the very southern part of Spain where it's
Carmen.
always warm. Carmen, yeah. Always warm. Like, you can be at the beach, pretty much like here.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, we're pretty much a tropical climate. I vaguely remember having this conversation. It had to be in the summer when it was like 95 degrees and 98% humidity. And every day when it's like below 50, you remember when you said it's tropical? This is not tropical. I'm like, when was that conversation?
Yeah, right.
Like, I don't remember.
But yeah, no, it stays warm. We can train year round. It gets a little cold.
But also, I'll say, especially for the athletes that are doing well and want to take it to the next level, we have to go play around the entire world. We play in over 100 degrees, crazy wind, or we're in Switzerland in the rain. Both last year.
Yeah.
My hands are numb. I can see my breath.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the beauty of the sport.
Used to it. Yeah, it's outdoor sport.
Yeah.
My daughter's first year, the first year of the program was playing. We played, and this is when it was kind of revealing to me. I didn't really know the format, that all 5 seeds matter, and all, which I think enhances the game because the 5th seed may be more important to your program than the 1 seed. You don't know; they're all important. But we played a tournament in Austin P, which is just outside Nashville, and the first day we played, it was typical like summer. Or almost summer. It was 78. It was humid. It was overcast. And that night, a thunderstorm came in and shook the rafters. The next day, it was like the high was like 30, and the wind was. You threw the ball up, and it would go out the door over there.
Oh yeah.
And it was the damnedest thing. But they played, and the good ones, in which we were not. When we're setting the ball over the net and getting points, or we're sitting at the other side and it's blowing back over, it was. But you play, and then you play in 95 degrees and humid.
Yeah.
So it sure makes it interesting to watch.
That's 100% a huge part of the sport is being able to play in the different conditions. Did you watch Cancun last year?
The wind was just.
It was
ridiculous.
Insane wind.
Yeah.
To where, like you're saying, if I set the ball to the roof right here, it's almost going to hit Gabby's feet.
Yeah.
And that was the last few events, 3 of our last 5 events of Olympic qualifying. So biggest matches of a lot of our lives. And it was in that kind of wind. The best the teams that made the end were Qatar, which were a super scrappy, athletic, ball control team. And then the Italians, I think Adrian made the quarterfinals every time.
Yeah, he did really well.
He's like this shorter guy that has crazy. The best ball control in the world by far. But that played into his favor. Like,
And the best sky ball.
He's sky ball, like the
In the
best
world.
sky ball of all time by far. But that's what the sport's about. It's about being good at every skill, first of all, because it's not indoor where you're specialized. I can just hit. I can just set. You got to do all the skills, but then you also got to play in all the elements. And, I mean, you also have to train yourself. It's a lot different than any big team sport in that sense. You know, you bring in your coach, you figure out your weights, you figure out who to train against, all that. So I think, you know, having all those different elements, having the different weather actually plays into your
I think
girl's
that
favor.
makes it's more exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Harder, but harder's
No,
the
harder,
path to achieving success.
I learned watching Travel Beach. I kind of measured everything early on, but we'd show up for a tournament, and I'd say, we're going to blow this team away. Be like two little scrawny kids. It looks like zero athletic ability. And they nickeled and dimed us to death, just technically.
Right. Yeah.
Didn't wow you, served it in. You know, if they were down, and they didn't give the ball away. You know, like if you're up by 12, you can try a razzle-dazzle serve if you want.
Right, yeah.
But if you're down by 12, you can't afford to give any away. And these teams that were real technical would just nickel and dime you to death and outsmart you.
Yep.
You know, catch you napping, drop it in.
Yep.
Experience and
Savviness.
savviness.
Hey,
You're built
Savage.
for this game. Savageness. No, it's huge on the beach. I've for sure got shredded by so many.
And you probably can
veterans.
out jump, out hit.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, what the hell's the deal?
When you first
And
come
that
out,
the old wily vet just
exactly,
sitting at the end of the bar with a smirk on his face.
exactly. That's like John Hyden, the guy we were telling you about. He's 48, 49 now, and he won't even hit the ball. He'll just chop you down, run away from the block, and just do the way that he understands the game is just so much higher level than anyone else that he just beats you without.
Has he ever said to you, boy, if I had your talent?
Oh my
When
God. He let me know how lucky I was.
In other
And I was
words, he's
very
saying
lucky.
to you, don't be me at 48.
He's
Make
like,
the most of it now because you got the talent.
yes, 100%. Well, and he was also like pissed at me because he's like, you know how long it took me to learn all this shit that I'm teaching you? You better get out here and work hard. And it was right. I was 24 and like excited to go run around, dive and jump and hit the ball hard. And he's teaching me all the veteran stuff at a young age, and that was huge for me.
So important.
just
You
keep
have to
yelling at
listen.
me, please. Just keep yelling at me. I'll get
Yeah,
better.
right.
I promise.
No, I took it. Yeah, I was like, you can yell at me all you want.
That's why all these like how old's April? 39.
She's seasoned.
They're just so much smart. Like me and a partner who's my age can go out and be fresher and jump higher and everything, but play against a team who's just older, like Larissa and Lily.
Oh yeah.
They're a married couple and they're older and they're just so much smarter than us. Like
Larissa's one of the greats.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they're just so smart. Like they don't jump very high. They don't do anything crazy, but they outsmart you the whole time.
If you can fast track, at a young age to get to that point.
Yeah.
Because, the same goes for football. Like the latter part of my career, I was so much more aware of what was going on and how I wanted to attack it. I just couldn't move as well.
Right. Yeah.
And my game relied on moving around and buying time with my feet. Tom Brady, on the other hand, not so much.
Yeah.
He's built for you protect him. So he can play as long as he wants. But he would say the same thing. You're not going to outsmart me. When I was 23, because I thought I had it figured out at 23. But if you can figure it out at a young age,
Yeah, exactly.
and get that savviness like the older wily ones do, you can. And this is in any sport or any job profession. Instead of having that mentality of, oh, I know, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
No, you bring up the latter half of your career. I was a huge fan at the end there when we were at the Vikings.
From Hawaii.
I'm from Hawaii, but my mom's from Minnesota. So
Really?
as you see up there, I got my my Vikings stuff up there.
Nice.
And if it wasn't for Evan's damn Saints, Bounty Gate.
That doesn't get brought up in the that doesn't
Bounty Gate. I'm still
that
pissed
doesn't
about
get that doesn't get brought up in the Favre household.
Well, I'm still pissed about it.
Actually, all that being said, I still had a chance to beat them, and I didn't. So that's what pissed me off. I'm not pissed off what they did. I'm pissed
It was
off what I
opportunity
did.
for you to overcome it.
I got beat up pretty good, but hell, I think the first time.
I think I saw photos. I was like, Brett Favre's my guy from now on. No, actually, it's funny. When I was, I don't know, 8, 9 years old, just like falling in love with football, you and Jerry Rice were my favorite players. And I'm very anti-Packers nowadays, but it is kind of funny that was the case. And I found that you guys were. Now, actually, looking back on like the athlete that I've become, my dream is to be a professional athlete. I like that grittiness, and like it's funny to look back and see like who my first favorite athletes were. Like guys like you and Jerry, who I heard like would run the crazy hills in San Francisco. And I mean,
I didn't do that.
Well, you're the gunslinger.
Might have walked.
You're the gunslinger.
I worked hard, but I had my limitations.
But
I said I'm not running hills because I'm a quarterback.
Yeah.
That was my justification.
Yeah. No, it's funny. It's funny though, Trent, like beach volleyball and football. Like, there's not much to relate there.
Not
You know
much
what's
comparison.
interesting is like when you take a superior athlete in their sport, and just let's say for example, just take Jerry Rice,
Right.
in the top of his game, put him on the beach court. He would look like he's got 2 left feet. It's so amazing how.
Or Michael Jordan in baseball.
Yeah. Now he did okay, but
He hung in there.
he did better than I probably could have done. But I'm sure Jerry would be like, "Oh yeah, I can beat y'all now in beach volleyball," and then I'm sure he can move around. But it's funny how you kind of you're geared to your specific and how you train and mentally. I know, like when I went snow skiing for the first time and I sucked. In fact, I think I'm quitting because the more I've gone, the worse I've gotten. I can pizza all the way down, which is great because I don't fall, but my quads are killing me. I just want to go down and glide.
Yeah.
But my mind is telling me, get out on your toes. Get out on your toes. And I go, I'm not getting out on my toes. So I lean back. And other sports are like that.
Yeah.
It's like this motor memory. And I'm not getting out of it.
Yeah.
I'm not getting on my toes. I want to because it'd be much more pleasant going down there. But no, I got a pizza now.
I think Mama's got some video of you that probably could make
I was teaching people how to
America's.
fall gracefully going backwards,
Going backwards.
not on purpose.
You know the ski dancers that kind of pirouette and do spins and like
don't know if
flip
I've
on their
seen
I've
poles.
seen that.
I was leaving the house in Montana, and I was going down this little slope to get to the ski runs. And somehow, the question is how? I don't know. I ended up backwards. But I was still up. But I knew I was in deep trouble because I didn't know how to stop. And
Do you stop going back?
Is there post production on this? Because we could probably get the video.
I would love
don't-
to see the video.
We can edit it in there if you want to send it over for sure.
I did it on purpose.
That's the story and he's sticking to it.
But yeah, it's about experience, right? Like
It's 100% experience. You think there are some things that are universal, like the mindset, work ethic, some of those things. I think I'm doing a good job explaining because we'll talk kind of about what's going on in beach volleyball, and I'm trying to put it like in a language that Brett obviously understands, and that's football. And I start, it's kind of like, and then I hear him talk about football, like 28 Texan, blah, 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 and I'm like,
I do not. Yeah,
what?
I do not understand how. a
Don't
quarterback-
worry,
XYZ.
because most of it didn't mean much to me either. I said,
Just get open.
do I really have to call a play that has 18 words in it? Brown left tight, close, Z right, sprint right, solid, Z quick drag.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I first heard that, I was like, can you repeat that again?
No habla español.
That's what it was like. But after all that, what it meant was everyone blocks but me and one receiver who came in motion and went right to the front pylon of the end zone, and I threw it to him. So that was it. And at the time, it was our receiver, Sterling Sharp. So I said, why can't we just say Sterling pylon?
Right. Yeah, why?
Too easy.
And Mike Holmgren, our coach, said, because we call it brown left tight close, Z right, sprint right, solid Z, quick drag. If you don't like it, go play somewhere else. And I said, I like it.
That's wild.
Yeah, we don't have plays like that.
No.
I think some of our, we're talking about like things being complicated. I'm playing defense for the last, 3 years or so, split blocking. And I'm a blocker. And I feel like I'm just right now learning defense. Like I'm starting to figure it out. Played this game my whole life. You know, you're always playing defense sometimes when you're playing beach volleyball. It's so complicated. And
it's a different world back there.
It's as complicated as you want to make it, though. Like as deep as you want to get into it.
True.
The plays don't have to be that complicated, but there's probably a reason that there's 18 words in it, right? I don't know. Someone looked into it and
I think
thought
there's
so deeply and made it that complicated.
I do think, and Mike Holmgren was a great coach, but I do think that there's a lot to be said for being simple. I think that there's times where you need to be technical in how you coach or how you look at things. But in the end, if you're prepared and physically and mentally where you know what to do, it's really about, success is really about not thinking when it's time to play. Mm-hmm. Because if you're thinking too much when it's game time, you're way behind.
Right.
You just got to let it. You just react. I mean, like using skiing, and I really suck as a skier. But like the great skiers, whether it be, you know, a race or you're trying to beat your time, or I don't even know all the races in skiing, but it just happens.
Yeah.
You don't go, okay, I got to do this, I got to duck, and
it's too late by then.
Yeah.
If you thought about it, it's too late.
You just got to react.
Yeah.
And that comes from preparation. And I've talked to numerous athletic teams over the course of my retirement, and I've always said the same thing to them. One of the greatest touchdowns I've ever thrown was my first home game as Viking. We're playing 49ers at home. We'd just beaten Cleveland the week before, so we're 1-0, and we're playing the 49ers, who at the time were just okay. And we're down with 1:08 to go. We got 85 yards to go, no timeouts, we need a touchdown. A field goal would have been different, but we needed a touchdown. And I threw a 33, 35-yard touchdown with no time on the clock. And I never even saw the finish of the play. I got drilled in the back. I just saw a guy sprinting that way, and I threw it there. And I heard the crowd react, and I said, that's a good reaction. But, and 100% honesty, I had envisioned making that play before, somewhere in previous years, daydreaming or whatever.
I think Tri had envisioned you making that play too.
Oh yeah.
Somewhere, somehow before.
I'll be honest with you.
I wish he was with the Vikings, and then you were.
My college coach who recruited me was the offensive line coach at Southern Miss. Set me down on my first start, and I was 17 years old. We were playing Texas A&M in Jackson, Mississippi. I was 3 weeks away from being 18. They were number 3 in the country. And I thought, hell, we can beat them. Now, there's a lot to be said about being naive. But he said, son, and he talked with a lisp. He said, son, I want you to come over here and sit down at the field house with me, and I want to talk to you a little bit. Now, he was kind of an analytical, deep thinker. At 17, that's the last thing you want to sit down and visit with. Yeah, okay, coach. He said, son, I want you to remember something, psycho-cybernetics. And I said, this guy's on whiskey or something.
Right.
Crack wasn't around at the time. But he said, I want you to envision yourself making the plays before you make them. Play the game before you play it. See the defense, how, you study and you envision. You walk through it in your room. Man, it went in one ear and out the other. And then in year 10 or 12 in pro football, it kind of dawned on me. I'm like, study the plays, picture the defense, Brian Urlacher across from you calling out the signals. You know what it's like in Soldier Field, so envision the wind blowing, it's dark, they're screaming at you, and that shit works, man. It works. You know, I was talking to girls basketball at Southern Miss not too long ago. The head coach is a good friend of mine, and my wife. She asked if I'd come talk to the team, and I told them exactly what I told you. And I said, call me crazy, let it go in one ear and out the other, because I did. I said, but I'm telling you, when you get up there and you got 2 free throws to make to either win the game or tie it, and it's either all or nothing. I mean, you shooting these 2 shots, there's no time left on the clock. Get in your room, get in your apartment, whatever. No one has, and visualize yourself doing whatever it is you do, and see the shot go in. And I said, you'll be amazed that you'll make it, and you'll go, I've been here before.
Yeah.
But you know, it's hard to do it when you haven't prepared mentally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I can relate to that too. Like when it comes to serving, at the end of matches, I remember being younger. End of a match, keep the serving. You don't want to be that person that misses the serve at the end of the match. But then as I got older, I was like, I want to be the guy that goes for it. And then just having decided that at one point in my life, like, okay, next time the game's on the line, like crowd's going, it was more indoors at that time, I'm going to go for it. And I did. And that was like freeing because it was like, I already decided.
Which you allowed your mind to buy into.
Yeah.
You saw yourself doing that. Where had you not, the flip side is your balls are in your throat.
Right.
Because the pressure is so intense, and you're so afraid to fail. I mean, we all, to a certain degree, are afraid of failure. I think that's what motivates us to a certain. But when you mentally prepare yourself and you've been there before, you go, man, I'm ready for this. This is what I prepared myself for. Mm-hmm. Then you turn it loose, and then good things happen more often than not. That's not to say every time you'll succeed.
Yeah.
But when you see yourself doing it, rather than all of a sudden you're in that position, like, you mean I got to make the 2 free throws?
Right. Yeah.
I was hoping someone else was going to be shooting them.
You try to think your way through it in the moment.
There's
a
like, lot of
too late.
Most of the time, bad things happen.
Yeah. Right. What about like big moments? Like now you're in the Super Bowl or you're in the finals, or how people change things.
I think it's no different. I think the wrong thing to do is change your preparation for a game, regardless of what sport it is, for one game, when you did it a different way to get to that point.
Yeah.
I think you got to find a way to stay in the moment. I mean, the Super Bowl obviously has gotten to be so huge. It's like the game is almost secondary. It's like, oh, by the way, there's a game tonight. Right. But you can't you get caught up in the moment a little bit. But I think you have to kind of, and this comes probably more than anything from coaching or from people around you, to keep you grounded. Say, hey, man, you got here because of doing this. Mm-hmm. Don't, I got to do something different. No, you don't. The only thing you need to do is play the way you've played. And if we're the best team, then we'll win. Mm-hmm. But when you start trying to do something out of the box, especially, football, now it's 17-game season. You do something one way, and it gets you to that point, and you go, I got to elevate my game. I always hear guys say it. And there's playoffs now. We got to pick it up.
Yeah.
Like, where in the hell's that been? We needed that week 8, where we could have gotten home field advantage had we won that game.
Maybe had a game off.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't believe that. So I think you do what got you there and stay with it.
Yeah. I remember Pete Carroll was at SC when I was there coaching. They were like just at the end of their crazy run with Reggie Bush and all them. And he came in and talked to us before we went to the Final Four, and that's like basically exactly what he said. He said, do what got you there. Don't change anything. And then it's funny because we went to the Final Four 2 years later, and I remember specifically our coach changing everything. Try it. Your short serve's great. Do it every time. I'm like, well, my short serve's good because they don't know it's coming. Yeah. And then like Murph hit the crap out. We changed everything and we choked. We're the ones who lost to Santa Barbara. I could have a ring right now if it wasn't for that. But a good lesson, like, because I've gotten to play going forward. So, Coach, there's a good one to remember.
There's a saying in football: kiss.
Keep that away somewhere.
Stupid.
Don't change it.
I coached high school 2 years as offense coordinator after I retired. Kind of, the head coach was a friend of mine, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like something I was dying to do. And I called two of my buddies, Doug Peterson and Ty Detmer, who were coaching high school at the time. And I said, and I'm not the head coach, so I'm not involved in all the other stuff. I said, I know I need to be careful not to overcomplicate things because I got all this football knowledge and I'm coaching high school kids. I said, but give me, what bit of advice would you give me? And they both said the same thing, kiss. And I was like, do what? They said, keep it simple, stupid. And I had 3 plays. I had 3 pages of plays. 3 pages. That's not a lot. The playbook in pro football is about like that, which is ridiculous. Because you only throw the ball on average 30, 35 times, but you got 300 passes you got to study. I never got it.
I don't understand.
But I had 3 pages, and I know we got to go, so I'll end with this. And it's a funny story, but so my first day I had 3 pages. I had probably 8 plays, 9 plays. Half the sheet was a diagram of the play and how we called it. So I walk out to practice, and the right receiver far out was the Z. The next guy in was Y. We ran a spread offense, so everybody was spread out. The left side was A, was the inside receiver, and the outside guy was X. And I said, I'm going to make it easy for you guys. I said, guys, all my Z's get over here to the right. So 12 guys or so go over to the right. And I said, listen, you're always going to line up on the numbers. I'm thinking Doug and Ty said, keep it simple, stupid. Said, you're never going to move from that spot. You're always on the numbers on the right-hand side. The kid raised his hand. And I kind of went to the next group, and this kid was... Finally, I turned back and I said, yeah, son, you got a question? He said, yes, sir. I'm a Z. I said, yep. What's your question? He said, so I'm always on the right-hand side on the numbers. I said, you got it. He says, what happens when we switch sides on the field? And I was like, I was stumped.
We're in trouble.
I was really like, that was a great question. That I said, what do you mean if we flip sides? Like, he goes, we're going that way, coach. And the quarter's over, and we turn around and go that way. I said, so like, we turn around this way. I said, which side is the right side? And I said, turn around. It's over here. I said, that's where your ass goes, right side. We go that way, you're on the right side, on the numbers. And I thought to myself, I thought that was KISS. But
as coaches, we do frequently.
You think sometimes it cannot be any simpler than I just explained it, and you got a question like that.
It's always good.
I don't know if I'll get into coaching. But I know you guys got to get to dinner. But Coach, you got any? First of all, tell us about the tournament that you guys are playing. Like, what is it that you guys are out here for? I'm learning the system.
Mm-hmm. I think in California they do it a little bit differently. Like, they're okay with triangular type stuff, quad type stuff. Like, we'll play back-to-back days. Like, we'll go to LSU or we'll host or we'll go to Florida State.
Right.
And we'll play a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like, here it's more of kind of a one-off thing. But I think it's because there are teams right down the road that can come on any given day and play.
Are you guys playing in Manhattan?
We are. We're up at Pepperdine.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we're up at Pepperdine Thursday, and then Johnny's hosting us Loyola Marymount Friday.
Yeah.
And so Pepperdine will play Pep and Long Beach State. It didn't work out to have another team at LMU, but they're a great team, so we'll play them twice and get better, twice as good.
Heck yeah.
And then we're gonna cruise up to SLO and play against Cal Poly.
Raji.
Yeah. He might know a thing or two about volleyball and coaching.
Yeah.
We're gonna find
A
out.
little bit. A little bit.
The professor.
But playing them, Cal Berkeley will be there in Santa Clara, along with some other teams. But those are the three we'll play.
Those are
But
some good teams.
yeah,
Let me know if you need a scouting report.
Yeah,
come
there you
on,
go.
we'll
I
take it
know
all.
all of them.
So
We got to crawl before we walk.
well,
The
it
scouting
does.
report helps, but I mean,
It does go back to that. Like I talked to a good friend of mine and great friend, also like great volleyball mind and coach on the world tour, and he's like, "Are you doing this? Are you doing that?" I'm like, "We just had our first fall season. Like, you do have to walk before you run." And I think how much we put on their plate, and we don't get it right all the time, but I think we have to incrementally increase the load.
100%.
Because if I just dumped everything and tried to put what I know into them, then they are going to freeze and they're going to get bogged down and they're going to be overthinking. I think sometimes we run into that issue anyway. But yeah, it is like we call him Dodgeball Jared. There's a story behind it. But we were sitting there at LSU and LMU was there playing, and I was like, "You think it's kind of funny that LMU's got John Mayer, pretty good pro player, like played a little bit on the world tour, had some success.
Yep.
Angie Akers is the assistant, not too shabby. Played at a pretty high level, had some moderate success coaching this past year or two.
Right.
And then, a huge step down to Kellie Reeves, All-American collegiate player, like doing her thing on the pros and like pretty solid coaching staff. And then we got a guy from Kansas, a guy from Mississippi, and a girl working on her PhD from Tennessee. Like,
You guys got it.
but that's why it's fun. And we just got to find different avenues and find different ways to be great.
so some of your players are texting me right now, Shawn, saying,
We're hungry.
tell coach to update the dinner plan. Are we deviating from the initial plan? Which we are. That's partly my fault because I'd set up a dinner, as I told you guys, in a different place.
I mean, it
They're
was
all
going to be good. But
they're foaming at the mouth right now.
oh, they're dying. All right. Well, let's get you guys to that dinner then.
We have young women that eat like 13-year-old boys. Like,
Oh, yeah. Hey, when you're running around in that sand, especially
Look,
this
it's
Hermosa
me.
sand,
He used to cook for me at so
you need 4 dinners.
I know how pure seats. I've
Yeah.
seen her at practice.
it's like all of them. Like, they can hammer food. So
Well, you guys better get going and eating. But we really appreciate you guys coming on. And,
No, man, it's good to
it's
have
fun
you.
to
Fun.
see.
Yeah,
It's
it
fun
was
to
awesome.
see
It's
you
fun.
guys, bringing up a program like that you'd never think would be a good beach volleyball program. Obviously, you coming to the sport in general is actually a big deal for any of us. Just caring about our sport, coming from a major sport.
Well, I think it's another great opportunity for girls. And I have 2 girls. I have 3 grandsons, but I have 2 daughters. And I grew up with 3 brothers and a sister. And my sister always got the short end of the stick.
Mm-hmm.
The only good thing about my sister was she made 2-on-2.
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
Like, you're on his team, and we're playing tackle football, So when I had girls, I knew they were not going to play football, and I wanted them to feel special like I did playing football all those years. And our youngest daughter, who's playing on the team, is like, "Dad, whatever you do, stay in the background. Don't." I'm like, "Look, I'll try to charter a plane and fly y'all out the West Coast." No, that's which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But building facilities or helping build facilities on campus. I mean, everyone thinks I'd build an indoor football practice, which I think we desperately need. But if I don't, stick my neck out there for the girls, who is?
Yeah,
And I'm proud of that. So
for sure. Yeah, no, and I mean, volleyball as a whole is a female sport. It's female driven. If it wasn't for the girls, I wouldn't have a job. Yeah, right. Right. We're all in the same boat there. So yeah, no, it's awesome. Good to see what you guys are doing. Appreciate you guys coming out and best of luck.
hopefully we're
Excited
in
for
Gulf
next
Shores
weekend.
in the coming years,
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
competing for the national championship.
well, it swings out here pretty soon.
Oh, really?
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Gulf Shores was really, it's really a nice venue.
Yeah,
it's
it's
odd to have it
heard
out
that.
there when everything's like the Mecca
But
is
that's
here.
what makes it so cool is like flying out there, like for us
Well,
at least.
it's a change of
so
pace,
cool.
yeah. And it's a nice place.
Yeah.
Well, and they do a good job of putting
They
the
do.
young women front and center and making it,
Which they should.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even the TV broadcast is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never
On ESPN
seen it in
and
person.
everything.
They're gonna bring it out to Cali.
That's the word on the street.
I don't know if Gulf Shores will let it go.
Where?
Except for
Huntington Beach. Yeah.
Maybe they'll go back and forth because I think it needs to stay at Gulf Shores, at least alternate. Because they've done a
that's
really
rad
good job
venue.
with it.
I think they need to bring a pro event out there.
Nebraska has baseball. College
Nebraska has
baseball.
beach.
Oklahoma has softball. Like, Gulf Shores is a pretty good beach volleyball.
That's sick.
So,
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's keep growing
All
the
right.
sport.
Well, thank
Let's
you
go eat.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Parker.
Appreciate it.
Go eat.
shout out
Play
to
us
Parker for
Play us out of here.
Yeah, Parker's been jamming on the guitar.
Thank